What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
Rhomas Men's Team, we are live with the famous Paul Wall. When's the last time that guy came out with a song? When was his last song? Did he have more than one song?
The last big one I remember was when Houston won the World Series a couple of years ago. I think he did a big song then, yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
Sweet. We've got Mr. Phil as well. Let's hop into this. Paul, you were saying before we hopped on here, I said, hey, how are you doing, man? And you said, working too much. I'd like to dissect that if you're cool.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
So I took over a team that was flailing. Their boss wasn't a very good boss, never taught him anything. Essentially, that boss was never managed either. And so when things eventually hit a boiling point, they had to kick the dude out of supervision because things were going so bad. And so they brought in me to help fix the problem. And 1 week before our fiscal year end close, which is pretty demanding already. So, got a team that had pretty much none of the skills they needed, none of the knowledge they needed. So worked a lot to essentially it led a lot to me having to do a lot of the analysis, a lot of the whatever to prep the team for the day. So I was working 14, 16-hour days for probably 2.5 weeks straight just to make sure that the team got everything that they needed so that as the understanding they had a pretty shitty boss before. And it's if I can use my time effectively in these first 2-3 weeks in the job, I can really set the tone, establish buy-in, do all that sort of stuff. So it's really show them that hey, I'm here to change things. I'm here to make things better. I'm here to get you what you need. So, and then just delivered that every day. But just I'm so frustrated with the lack of everything. It's I felt like what I did was so beneath me. And it's couple that with I just applied for promotions and didn't even get interviews. So I'm getting feedback that I don't have enough of the right supervision experience. So it's this team that I just took over. It's not, that was never the goal for me. It was never to do that long term. It was to triage and then get to somewhere else, So it's I think I did that. Now I'm looking for what's next. And if I'm going to work that hard, where can I actually make a fucking difference, and not spin my wheels. Yeah.
Are you talking about work that hard in the company, or are you saying I'm going to take my ball, go somewhere else?
I've got maybe 5 more years until I'm qualified for my pension. So I've got 5 more years with this company. And then once I get my 20 years of experience, then I can go hop and go somewhere else. So that's been kind of refined my goal over the last year, where it's I want to get the right amount of transferable skill sets to go to other places. Leadership seems to be one that is lacking no matter where I look, maybe just in my organization, but in other organizations that we work with, they have really good technical people, but maybe not the greatest leaders, So,
do you work for government?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That says it all. We should have started our relationship a couple years ago with you introducing yourself like that. My name's Paul. I work for the government. Ray, what are your thoughts?
I don't know, man. You guys are having a real big boy conversation. I'm sorry I'm late, but it's weird, Wes. I know we've had this conversation many times before with different brothers in this group, and I know that sometimes the recommendation is don't put your dreams on hold. But those of us who are going through a kind of broke season, and that's broke as in poor, not broke as in disassembled, might find Paul's situation envious. if I had to put in 20 years to get a pension, the year would be 2044. So just think about that and count your blessings, Paul. Don't do what Wes said.
Wait, what did Wes say to do?
He's probably accurately predicting what I would say, but not really. But Phil, let me throw the mic over to you. What say you on Paul's situation?
Well, Paul. So so if you spend the next 5 years here to get your pension doing exactly what you're doing right now, what are the main downsides for you?
For me, like if I stay in the position that I am today, like there's no growth. Like I've already exceeded. It's like there's like junior, senior, and then I joke that like at this point I'm a super senior. Like I've overstayed my welcome in my area. And I've been a workhorse, and like the money was good as I was like going through my divorce and having to pay attorneys and all that sort of stuff. But like now that like those needs have changed, it's like, okay, it's time to look for experience that like isn't going to be bread and circus. That's going to actually give me what I need for like my long term, like the bonuses and all that are nice where I'm at now, but like it's not serving me the way that it did for many years, So
Wes,
okay,
it sounds like Paul has to do a calculation, right? Sorry, Phil. Why don't you go ahead, Phil?
So it's money, and but also is it experience? Is it also like you feel like your career is delayed for 5 years, basically, or?
No, I think that like I can get the right experience where I'm at. I just can't do it on the team that I'm on. And it's like now I'm supervising one team. Like I need to supervise be a supervisor of multiple teams, so have 50 or 60 people under me, 3-4 teams. Like that's the type of experience that I'm looking for now, so that I can parlay that into some sort of director or some sort of like some experience that's going to give me like organizational management skills that I want to parlay into something else after I'm done with where I'm at.
Okay, so sorry, I don't understand how this works. So if you switch to a different branch or different company or whatever the hell the government has, you lose your pension in some way or what?
No, I could work for other ones. It's just that the one like I do accounting, and that's like I work at like the accounting one, so it's like I'm in a good place. But yeah. It's just, I think it's just, I need to get the right kind of experience. Like where I'm at right now isn't serving me any longer. So, and like, yeah.
Question, Wes. Like, would you, I guess the kind of questions that are swirling in my mind, Wes, are, would you ever recommend that somebody stay in a job that they are unfulfilled in? Like how secure would it have to be? How deep would the sunk costs have to be in order for it to pay off? Because I know that we have talked about having a side hustle, or like I'm picturing maybe would it drive him crazy to have a 5-year taper off, taper up plan to introduce him into the private sector, or is that just living in fear and just avoiding the risk, or is that just risk aversion?
Yeah, I think it doesn't have to be binary. And Ray, I think you're already illustrating it. Like one of the things that comes up for me is it might sound really good for me to say, oh, just never be put under the thumb of any other organization, for any period of time, and especially 5 years. But I also do wonder how much optionality you would have. Okay, hey, I'm going to play my 9-to-5 game in the 9 to 5 hours, that have been allocated, which I would assume from what I've heard of government, this is just my guess, that not much more is expected beyond 9 to 5 hours. I'm going to assume what you're doing, Paul, of the 16-hour days is because, like you said, you want to set the tone. That's my guess. That is self-inflicted in a good way, like in an outstanding way. I do wonder to be rewarded at any point. I mean, that would be my guess. So if I were in Paul's shoes, Phil, the first thing that I would probably consider doing is like, yeah, can I start a side hustle? And if I have a 5-year runway, because I do work in finance, so I understand the power of a pension, especially from a government. Like I can get that because I've seen it a lot. And if you're in striking distance of that, but still can somehow add something on top of it, then I would consider doing that. Now, I can tell you on the other side, it does. I have a very good friend who did the opposite, who said, hey, I'm a teacher. Yes, I'd be giving up a pension if I were to go and start my own real estate business as being a realtor. And he did that. And he makes, he made $800,000 one year. And that he invests it properly, et cetera. Right. Like it doesn't take too many of those years to completely wash away all of the benefits that, from working for a government institution, for the next 25 years. So Phil, what comes up for you as we fill in some of those details?
I don't know. I don't really have anything to say, but I'm completely unfamiliar with this whole place. I don't really have much to say about it. I don't. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't really have a. Sorry. What were you going to say? So it's pretty wild.
I mean, the pension system has pretty much collapsed in the like, let's say the private company market. Private company being defined as outside of the government. They basically didn't work because of a whole bunch of reasons, or at least a handful of reasons. But the government, because it has the taxation power of the United States government, its pension system, has seemed to be pretty strong. In other words, it's a lot of cash flow in perpetuity. I mean, Paul, how old are you going to be in 5 years?
38.
Or
something, right?
Yeah, like 35.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn, dude. How did you get 20 years so fast?
I worked for like the government, like on military bases, they have like grocery store. And so like when I was going to school for my bachelor's, I worked at one of those. So like that experience counts towards it. And then I got like another government job after that. And so like that
this guy's a
qualified
ninja
towards that.
Holy
so
crap.
It's like it's been a long, boring path, but like the plan was always to do what I could in the 20 years there and then do something after, And now I'm coming up on that, and it's like I'm seeing like the places, like I thought that for a long time, like project management experience and like driving major organizational change would be what was valued because it translated to actual results for like the team's mission. Now I'm going for positions where I'm competing against people that have like control of 50, 100, 200 people. And my experience isn't stacking up on paper the same against theirs, even if I had a greater, say, organizational impact or driver of like things that the organization determined as successful. So now I'm seeing like, okay, like I'm not a well-rounded enough student. I need to make sure that like the next group of experience I get is going to let me get the experience level I need to parlay it to, a director or some sort of position like that, where I've got a broader view of the organization and control of a bunch of people so that when I go do something outside of the government afterwards, I can say, yeah, I controlled a team of 100 people or something like that, and here's what we did. So.
Do you have a master's at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're pretty much tapped out on education, which is outstanding. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's no other project or business or anything that, in my opinion, wouldn't take at least 5 years to really gain momentum on. So I think looked at from that perspective, if you can treat your, 5:01 to 7 p.m. job as this is the business I'm going to build or extra skill sets I'm going to build, I don't know, man, I would consider that like 5 years of that, couple hours a day, 3 to 5 days a week. you could put yourself in a really phenomenal position. And dude, I can tell you right now, there's a massive opportunity in small and mid-sized businesses to get not just proper accounting done, but like part-time CFO work done, if that makes sense. So like turning that data into information and information into actionable steps, right? That you like, literally, like I'm looking for, like I'm working with a guy right now to do exactly that. You know, I don't have the time to do it. Hey, but I also don't want to pay a full-time controller because we don't need that right now. But it's like, take all of our financial data, right? Put it into a dashboard, report to me once a week, and we go from there. I mean, dude, I think there's a good chance you would crush it in that type of like side business. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I have heard something similar from people locally where there's like large scale audits that these big auditing firms don't have like the niche experience for. So they've been able to parlay like success by, say, doing inventory observations or stuff that's like maybe not worth those companies' time. So I have thought about something like that, but I don't want to get my CPA. So I do have a buddy that has a CPA, but we're not in the same like state. So I don't know. I have thought about it.
You don't have your CPA, dude?
No.
Let me push on you a little bit there as a brother. What's holding you back from that? You have a master's. Why not CPA?
The ROI wasn't there for me. Like for the type of work that I do, I didn't want to be the best at accounting. I'd rather be a better leader and focus on leadership as opposed to like accounting. Because I don't really love accounting. You know, I like the organizational management more than I like accounting, and it was always like a means to an end, you know?
Yeah.
It was a boring, boring path, but
Wes, do you think a CPA is an important? Do you think a CPA is a valuable credential, Wes?
I mean, look, it's kind of like a really hot girl saying like, I don't want to show off my body because I've got principles. You know, I mean, it's like something like that. Like, you know, and now I'm not saying to be right like a tramp, but I'm saying like there are times where if you were my brother, honestly, Paul, like you won't even, okay, can I grind it out I'm already grinding it out, like you're saying, the slow, boring path for the next 5 years. There's very few things that I could point to that would give you an enormous lever relative to the inputs put in, such as getting your CPA. Like nothing even close. You won't even get on the desks of people, right, without that.
Wes, question: is 5 years enough time to get one? I don't know what the. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, Wes.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm like grimacing because I know you're right.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, again, if you were my brother, right? Like, you know, for your children, how many children do you have? Right? Do you have one?
Just one, yeah.
So, like, for your child and maybe future children, this one thing you could probably, I'm guessing, Paul, and tell me if I'm wrong, you could probably study during work.
Don't answer that question, Paul.
In a new job, I probably could. I'm pretty tapped out where I'm at.
Excellent answer. You're fully committed and very fulfilled in your current employment.
So
it's too fulfilled.
So you're really just like you're kind of maxed out on work, even though it's like it's just grunt work for you. It's just not really giving you what you want. It's not really a serious long-term career investment to be doing the work you're doing daily, but it's a lot of work to be doing. So. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. I'm completely unaware of like how this whole area of all this stuff works. So like, I don't know, but like, it does feel to me like, you know, taking the badass approach, like is definitely, seems like the ceiling is just way up there. It's way above where you're at, you know, but, you know, definitely that's a huge marathon to go on, but I mean, that does seem like a good option, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't understand any of this stuff really.
Oh, dude, like Phil, just to put it in perspective, right? Like, and Paul, I'm going to push on you here. I mean, you've already said it, right? You've already said like, hey, I know you're right. And it's not because, I'm smart. It's just like, it's so obvious, right? Yeah. It's like one of the first questions one would have of hiring any form of accountant, right?
You would
They're
think.
going to say, right, like, do you have your CPA designation? That is the number one thing they're going to say. And because if you want the ability to say, hey, I'm an accountant by trade, or I have academic like skills in accountancy, the follow-up question will be, are you a CPA? And if the answer is no, that automatically is like okay, well, I guess like you didn't treat it that seriously. Now, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? But that's you know what I mean?
So
yeah.
That's kind of like the kids. I don't know. I remember from like high school, be like, yeah, I'm a basketball player. It's like, what do you play for your high school basketball team? Like, no, I play for like, the CYO organization, like, the whatever they call it, right? It's like, oh, we just don't treat it that seriously. And I'm not saying I agree with that or disagree with it. I'm saying like you have a tremendous opportunity just to check that box. And yes, like it would suck just checking that box. But the question is the amount of upside it would give you for the rest of your life. And it seems like you already have the DNA and the discipline to be checking boxes. As you told us in the beginning, is your plan right now. Check the box for the next 5 years.
Yeah. And one of the things too is that like we sometimes talk about like a playbook, like, and I've like executed the playbook that I've had to the point where it's like, okay, now this isn't quite working for me anymore. I think that like I've never like I never thought the ROI was there on the CPA because that just isn't ironically valued where I work at. Like an MBA or CPA is the same amount of points. So I was like, I think at NBA, like when they're scoring your resume, so I think like an MBA to me was the better ROI. Now on the other side, it's like, okay, now that I have that, and I could probably get it paid for too. Like that's the other part. So it's like I could take the class and get all the materials paid for and everything. So it's like I don't think it would even be a huge stretch. I know that like the thing that's kept me from doing that is just not wanting to be good at accounting, but like I didn't want to be like a decent leader eater, but I'm all right at that too, where I'm at. So it's like fighting the things that you're good at, like instead of doubling down on it, like that's not really served me well. And like maybe it's time to like evaluate some of that.
So
yeah, I mean,
to me,
oh, please go ahead, Phil, please.
Oh, sorry. To me, if I were in your shoes, one of my main hurdles, I'm curious if this is true for you at all. One of my main hurdles would be sunk cost fallacy. I'm always in these types of situations, I'm always like I get super over fixated and like tunnel vision on like, well, this is the plan. This is what I've always been doing. Why? Like, I don't even reevaluate, honestly, to me. So it's pretty cool that it sounds like you're really like considering all these options and stuff. Cause like, to me, I just get like, I just like, that's the plan I've been on, and I don't even consider anything else for a while, until something becomes a problem or whatever. So like, I can totally understand like how much it kind of sucks to think about giving up a pension that's so close that you've been working on for like pretty much your entire life and like early your adult life. But I mean, yeah, it does seem like the potential for greater income in maybe private sector or like whatever is just like possibly way greater if you go on this hard path. So I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. What do you think about it? Is the sunk cost thing for a problem for you at all, or what do you think?
For me, like I don't think I'd have to pay anything out of pocket for it. So you're talking about like the pension,
like time, like just time and all that.
Current path.
Yeah, I haven't honestly evaluated that. To me, it's always just been like a non-negotiable in the plan. So I haven't really evaluated that.
So Ray and Phil, the best way that I could summarize not having your CPA, like my answer completely changes now, like 100% changes, right? Like it would be like, akin to saying, okay, we could have a potential professional athlete here, but while we don't need him to be a track star, like we don't need Paul to focus on accounting for the rest of his career, we do need him to have a certain level of standard of cardiovascular, right, like performance. So if he doesn't perform above there, then the rest of his career is going to be limited, right? It won't be allowed into the NBA. Do you know what I mean? Like that is what a CPA would do. If I had to benchmark it, I would say his CPA will give him in perpetuity. I'm just guessing, and Paul, keep me honest here. Probably an instant, almost guaranteed 30% increase in the private markets.
I think for like compared to what I do, unless it's for a consulting firm, which then you're trading hours, like, like your hourly wage has gone down significantly. I'm paid pretty well for what I do. Like, compared to like our senior accountants make probably around like 85, 90. So compared to when I look at like what's on Indeed or Nextdoor, it's probably like 62 to 67, 70, somewhere in there. So like for what we do, we're pretty well paid.
Absolutely. So when you transition it over into the private market, that's where I would say, like, if I'm looking to hire a CFO or like somebody in the management position, if you want to be in like the C-suite, there's not a position, even HR, or there's not a position that you can tell me would not be enhanced by, oh, this guy knows how businesses operate numerically. And there's a certificate that says it. And he took multiple years to get that certificate. That's my guess. I mean, that's what I've seen in the private market. I have not seen any job, whether it be consultant, CFO, CEO, CMO, like literally all of them, that would not be enhanced by, oh, this guy knows how businesses operate from a balance sheet perspective. But Paul, push against me if you think I'm off there.
No, yeah. Like for me, the next move for me was PMP, because that's where I like foresaw more of a desire and potentially more opportunity, was like in the project management space as opposed to accounting. But either way, I mean, they're both able probably to be paid for and like able to take.
I would say do both.
Yeah.
You got 5 years,
in the 5 years. Yeah, exactly.
I know you can get both of those done in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like I think like especially it seems like since you have at least, at least a pretty good interest and sounds like a fair amount of experience with management. I mean, management roles, especially like, bigger companies, like they can make an enormous amount of money, right? Like managers are very, very, very necessary thing.
Like the concept of bread and circus has been like a big thing for me lately, because it's like where I am, like there's a lot of like carrot dangling that does pay out in the end, but like it's all bread and circus because it's just using me for something that's not serving me long term. And like, yeah, the bonuses are nice, but if it's preventing me from getting the experience I need that'll help me get 5 times that, then yeah, it's just a distraction. Yeah.
And that's the point, man. Like it depends on how you define like money. It's like, okay, is $100,000? It all depends on the person, right? There is not a judgment, but it's like, if you want any shot of making $500,000 and beyond per year, in my opinion, these things are a no-brainer. Like they certainly don't hurt you by any stretch, but they get you at the table for sure. And you're telling me, I think the probability of any of us convincing you to cut bait before that end of the 5 years is close to zero. Because I get it. Like you've already worked 15 of the 20 that you're. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, what would I do if I were looking at Paul as an asset? What would I do to increase the value of that asset? For sure, the answer is build the foundation even bigger, and with both CPA designation and PMP designation. Hands down, like no questions asked. Yeah. Ray, okay. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a great conversation because whether and I've got a call coming in, but that's a great conversation because whether he wants to start that private sector journey now or in 5 years, I think that both answers apply. Yeah,
absolutely, Paul. And I'm not meaning to beat you up here. I'm just like enthusiastic about it because, like, dude, I think the opportunity you're sitting on is enormous relative to the scope of what you are implying to me, what your goals are. What comes up for you?
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
The first thing is that it does make sense. there's a natural resistance to me to the CPA because I was like, that's taxes and CPA. I was like, I'm never going to do that, you know? And like the PMP, like that's one where it's like, I don't know, like outside of, or even within government, like there's not really much benefit to it. It's just the only one that's like really interested me. But I can definitely understand, like, if accounting is the language of business, then like, what good is having 20 years experience trying to go to some other place if you don't have like the thing for it? Like the experience is one thing, but like, just like you can have 10 years of experience, but if you don't have a degree, somebody doesn't want to hire you, you know? So that does make sense.
Yeah, Phil, it's very similar to like when you go to college, right? Like, you know, you're going to take a whole bunch of classes. You're going to get a degree in a certain major, but you're going to take a whole bunch of classes that you like, you know, are just not going to be relevant. And that can provide a lot of friction. Like, oh, well, like, why don't I just go do this myself? And I could just focus on like Coursera courses and so on. And I agree with that, like logically, but the reality is the receiving market on the other end, who are the decision makers and the gatekeepers to whether or not you're going to get into that company to work for them, are going to be looking for certain things, like it or not. You know, so I hate even saying this out loud, but yes, a CPA designation, I do think would be, like, just so you know, Paul, I'm considering getting it. I work in finance, I don't work in accounting, but like for the reasons that we just talked about, like I'm considering getting it. I do think maybe 5% of it would be relevant for like my domain career, but that 5% could be really profound, like have a completely asymmetrical, probably 1,000x return on the back end, Phil. What are your thoughts, like when I maybe fill in some of those buckets, like, because Phil, I know you're not in the accounting world, but what are your thoughts as I fill that in that detail?
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like, you know, it sounds like it's a lot of busy work. It's a lot of work to do in the you know, in your spare time, and I totally get that. That like that's the kind of stuff that I never do, and then I always, you know, I'm kicking myself endlessly for not doing it. You know, like it's definitely. I mean, obviously, you know, when you're applying places, you want to be a killer, and it sounds like you have a really clear path to being a killer. Because I mean, honestly, that's the thing is like, I don't know, just hearing the way you talk about your job, you just sound like a really competent person. You sound like someone who like understands the bigger picture, which I feel like is kind of somewhat rare. Maybe not like, you know, that rare, but it's less common for people to understand like the bigger picture of like these fields and stuff. And it seems like when you really have that, like, man, this, you know, the sky's the limit. It's just how far you want to take it, you know.
And that's what I thought too. And it's like, oh, I have like the experience end to end, and that's what's valuable, because that's what translates into us actually fixing things that are broken and getting better audit results, because that's how we measure success in our world. It's like, well, now organizational management, like the things I'm applying for are more of a big picture. So it's like I could be the best at like accounting in like the next 5 years, or potentially I could use that time to like take off the gas a little bit and work on certifications, you know, and work on things that might serve me long term. Because any organizational management, like supervisory job that I take is not going to be easy. Like it's just not. It's going to be 10 hours a day probably, you know, until things get under wraps, and then after that, you know, it's a grind all day. So thinking about
I just think. Sorry, I just think like, yeah, I mean, what if the goal was I want to make, you know, $1 million a year? Like, if that's the goal, like, what's the best path to get there, right? I mean, it sounds like we kind of know what the answer is, right?
Work your ass off.
Yeah.
I mean, then the question would be, Paul, okay, if we explore that, and by the way, anybody listening can apply the same level of logic, right? Like in every single industry, there are the baseline certificates or, you know, academic pedigree, like designations, that if you don't get, you have to overcome a barrier. And as much as I don't like this, like I don't want to admit it, but like literally the reality is, even if I'm like interviewing contractors to do some sort of work, if they don't have a certain amount of like hard evidence, well, then that puts the burden on me to take a gamble on them. Do you know what I mean? Like I had somebody tell me recently, it's like, oh, well, like my experiences from like the school of hard knocks. And that sounds really good. And it could be incredibly true that like, oh, this person didn't take a pause to go over and do this academic stuff that I know 90% of it is not going to be relevant. But still, what honestly comes up for me is like, oh, well, if I hire you for this project, it's still going to be a risk for me. And I wish that wasn't the case, but that is like the immediate like thought that I have to then overcome. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to take a risk because I'm just doing this project. I'm hiring this person for this one-time project. I'm probably going to pay more, so I have more certainty. Whether or not with an alternative person who has done the academic stuff, I'm not saying that's right. I wish my brain didn't work that way, but that is the way my brain works. You know, they would have to have a disproportional amount of very strong evidence, probably referred from a couple of different people that I know, to overcome that lack of education. Does that make sense? And again, I also think it's like, okay, well then if you are in agreement with that, what's the sequence? You know, my vote would be you go CPA first and then you do PMP later. But what are your thoughts? And you could veto obviously all of this and say, Wes, you know, pound sand, and you know, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah. I think like CPA is also scary to me. That's part of why I haven't done it also, like if I'm being honest.
There it is.
So like
Paul, so what is scary about it specifically?
It's the time commitment, like knowing that there's parts that like can have a low pass rate, feeling like maybe I will not, you know, like I'm not going to study the right thing, or like I'm going to be fucked up and I'm going to be, instead of doing this in my plan for, you know, 2 years to get the CPA, it's going to take me 3 because I fucked up, and like, you know, a lot of that.
This is exactly my type of mindset when I'm afraid of when I'm thinking about like a next step. Is always like this fear of the unknown and stuff. But it's like if you were to this is the kind of things I never think about when I'm trying to avoid you know, engaging the things that terrify me, is just simple things like, if you were to take the top 2 or 3 fears, are those questions that probably can be answered in a very solid way, that like you can definitely overcome those issues.
Yeah, and my fear is based in nothing, because I can't even tell you of the 4 parts of the test what the 4 parts are. So I could be really good at all 4 of them and not even know, and I'm just like, oh, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, you know? So that could be very real also. So
how about this? I mean, like, to me, like, man, dude, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy, especially with programming, because I hate programming so much. So, like, it's so crazy how I've gone on like years and years, but like with these problems that are constantly a problem in my life because of programming, and then I learn something and I'm like, dude, it was nothing. I was afraid of nothing. Like, it's insane. It's insane. The fear is 1,000 and the problem is nothing. It's crazy, man. Like, And it's literally just pushing that. It's just pushing that door open. It's like, just look in there. Just, you know, like, look, like you could do that right now. Just look in there and see what those things are. And then once you understand, like, that'll at least do something to lower that fear, you know?
And just to kind of like parlay that idea, like, I'm not afraid on taking on challenges, but largely I take on challenges where I know I can make a difference or know what the outcome can be. There's not that like pressure of like, all right, you have to do the thing and know if you're going to pass or fail or not, you know? Like, yeah. So that's
it
I'm
sounds
sure
to me, that statement, to push on you a little bit, it sounds to me like I would edit that. You're not comfortable taking on challenges. You're comfortable taking on certainties, which I would put like through a certain lane, right? Like, certainties are almost the opposite of challenges, you know? But I think the cool thing is, I think there are very few things that can't be solved by doing it 100 times, right? Like, and the CPA doesn't need, I mean, we're talking about arithmetic and some algebra potentially, right? So it's like, every time we uncover, oh, I don't know that thing, Like, it's okay. Well, I know the answer. I'm just going to do it 100 times. And then usually by like the 12th time, like you've been practicing the formula, like you're good. You're like, oh, this is boring now. I can do this like in my sleep.
Yeah.
So like, I can appreciate that, man, because, and also baked into like any test and like fail rates, usually it's like human behavior. Okay, yeah, the pass rate might only be 30% per exam or whatever, but it's like, yeah, right. Like, go and look at the pass rate of the people who just went and joined, LA Fitness, right? Okay. Most people join and they never show back up again, or they show up twice. It's like, of course, they don't have a pass rate of like losing any body fat because they're just not showing up. And the same exact thing is true on tests. You and I both know that. We've both taken enough tests where it's like, oh, okay, like this is just a matter of inputs, not a matter of intelligence. It's a matter of inputs. And I think the other cool thing is when we're in our professional career, it's a lot different than when we were in college. Because in college, you're taking 8 different classes. You have different projects, tests going on all the time. So you kind of have to like splice like your attention over like 20 different things. Versus when you're in a career and you're just studying for the CPA and you're working, right? It's very clear. You don't have other topics or classes competing for that same like academic study zone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What comes up for you, Paul?
It's crazy because I know that like I could probably also create some community around that, because I know there's others in the organization that kind of feel the same way, where it's like, I could take my CPA, but what and why? Like, there are a few of us that did that with our masters, and now everyone's a couple years older, got kids and whatever, but it's like, I bet there's still a couple people that I could like convince to go through it, and it's Guaranteed. Yeah. That's at least what first came to mind for me, where it's like, okay, well, like, how does it become a little less scary? It's like, be educated, have like, comfort in like other people going through the same struggle, like that sense of community. And it's like, I know there's people that would do it too. So, also,
how many months do you think it would take you to get it end to end, the CPA? How many months or years?
I would say probably realistically a year and a half. Like if I spent a quarter
to change your family tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I don't think I'm exaggerating there. I think it is that significant. Phil, what comes up for you?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is really like, I really just like, and I really appreciate your mindset, Wes, because like this, I'm just trying to get over to this side of life where it's like, no, like my goals are just not big enough for me. Like I'm always just thinking like, how can I get by, which is just the worst, starvation mindset or whatever. And like that's just for me, Paul. I don't know. Whenever I say stuff like that, I'm not trying to like put that on you or say that's your mindset, but like that's my mindset all the time. And that's just, like man, the goals can be so much bigger for me. And yeah, like what does that look like, do you think? Is that like studying, every night, or studying sometimes a week, or I don't know what your personal life is like. I don't know what your kid's situation is like, but
most people that I know that have done it, they said they treated it like a part-time job and would just study for some combination of 15 to 20 hours a week, just finding the time to get that time in to practice and understand like what the next test is for. And they would do that for maybe 2 months and then go and take the exam. So not even that crazy of a time commitment.
And I would also say that there's probably some good fluff in there. I feel like when people report things, they tend to inflate the work associated to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I would imagine it's really between 10 and 15 hours is my guess, as opposed to 15 and 20, which is a significant percentage, but that's just my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think really, like Wes really just hit on it with, it's like some busy work for a while and probably going to get frustrating and stressful at times, but it's like you're literally putting a multiplier on your life. So, It's crazy. It's crazy to think about it's crazy to think about. You know what? This is just some small aspect of this I've just been thinking about so much, is that, like, you know what's a downside and probably a massive reason why I need to be doing the yearly plan and the visual and everything that Wes is talking about is, I always think that, like, it's a big downside to goals that are not, the reason I like not meeting your goals is because, like, you don't actually really think about how incredible it's going to be on the other side. Like when you don't have a goal, and we haven't met a goal yet, your picture of it is so much smaller. You know, like, if you were to double your income, like, that has such a crazy impact on your entire, every single aspect of your life. It's like you have twice as much money for everything that you do. Every single thing that you do, you have twice the money, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And, like, really, like, I don't know. I wish I could, like, visualize that better for myself, because it's like, man, like, feeling that more viscerally seems like it would have a massive benefit, and I could probably do that if I were taking more seriously the whole plan and the whole vision board and all that stuff. But yeah.
Well, and especially, Phil, and this is, like, directed at you in a really good way. Like, the few chokeholds that you, in my opinion, that you beat yourself up for, it's like, the way that I see you is like, dude, not if, but when Phil earns those, like, the removal of those couple chokeholds, and I'm serious, man, you're going to be a freaking phenomenal father, like 100%, like, leader of a family, because of what you've had to get through, right? Like, and it's one thing when people have battle scars and they don't learn from it, right? Because, like, you don't necessarily want, right, like, a war veteran who hasn't gone about, like, a certain parallel cerebral analysis of, like, why he had to go through what he had to go through. You don't necessarily want him raising kids, you know, like, if he can't dissect, right, like, okay, like, hey, these battle scars can serve either a cautionary tale or some version of a narrative that could really help raise other humans, or be the leader to other humans, whether that's a business or a family and so on. But Phil, man, I think you'd be sincerely an excellent head of household, and just because of how like, smart you are and how disciplined you are, and thinking through your journey, and about how transparent you are on yourself. You know, so yes, I think you're spot on yet again, of like, oh shit, if I make myself into the type of man who can earn X amount of resources, how much of it, like you said, great word, multiplier, that is for the rest of my life, and impacting behind me. I mean, it's hard to quantify.
Yeah. 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 I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. Not really sure what to say at the moment, but I really appreciate you saying that, Wes.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, it's almost tough because it's hidden in plain sight, and I don't want to get the final words of wisdom for you both, but, like, my final words of wisdom of, like, next time you show up to, like, a barbecue or like a friend event, or just, like, observe from the outside, you know, you will see on occasion some men, and if you just, like, dissect their stats, you're like, oh, that guy provides for his entire family, and he makes that amount of money. I'm not saying it's all about money, but it's like, he provides a safe environment. And we all probably know, especially Phil and I, like, how important a safe environment is to house people in. I mean, that, like, it's oftentimes not talked about, but if you can give that gift as a man to other people, and whether it be your business or the staff that you manage, or a family, etc., how much of an honor that is, and often how many times that is not thanked. It's almost assumed. And the only way that you know the severity of that is if you actually do it. It is not possible, in my opinion, for somebody to have a level of accurate gratitude towards a man who provides that unless they've actually done it. It's kind of like the child who's like, oh yeah, whatever, mom and dad are supposed to drive me around because that's what mom and dads do. Do you know what I mean? It's like, not until you've actually had kids of your own do you actually realize, like, oh, this is a massive fucking task load. Paul, final words of wisdom, brother.
2 thoughts, Phil. Echo what Wes said about like your transparency. Like when you say something, like it's odd the amount of times that it like resonates with me in such a way. Like I've been told in pretty much every job except for this one, like I'm just doing what it takes to get by. And it's like, to me, the value proposition was never there for it. But like when you said that, I was like, oh, I felt that. Wes, you said something recently that's been sticking with me where it was like, I think maybe it was a month or two ago, where you talked about it's essentially like I was afraid of accomplishing something or afraid to start something because of like fear of like failing or whatever along the way. And you're like, oh, that's like a woman who's afraid to go to the gym because she's going to get bulky. Like the amount of times that is like replayed in my head as I'm like going to do something where it's like, oh, this is going to suck or whatever. And it's like, well, you don't know that, like not until you get there, So I don't know. Appreciate the conversation. Like, I think it's definitely given me like, it allowed me to like help, I guess, bubble up some of that to the surface that maybe I hadn't really thought about, or it was like, oh, the value proposition for the CPA isn't there. And turns out like, yeah, I'm also kind of scared of it too, So I think trying to get educated and challenge some of those assumptions is going to be, I think, a good next step for me. So I appreciate that.
Outstanding, man. And seriously, thank you for the candor on that, because I have found that 95% of the time, including with my own journey, right, it's just the fear of failure. Yeah. It's not all this other stuff. All these other things are like red herrings. They are distractions from like the core. It's like, I'm just scared. And that's cool. Yeah. The good news is like all of us are scared. It's just the few who choose to go forward despite the fear that actually earn the rewards. Phil, final words of wisdom, brother.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I'm thinking. Like if I were in your situation, I mean, first of all, like it's pretty sick to be in your situation. You're in a great situation, man. I mean, I think that's really important to like just acknowledge that like you seem like you really worked pretty hard to get where you're at right now, and that's pretty awesome. Like you seem like you have a really solid position in career and also just in your skill set. Like it's a really solid base, and that's pretty awesome. But like, yeah, I mean, I think to me, exactly like kind of like what I was saying before, but it's just like, to me, the main things that always keep me sitting on the couch is the fear of, is the fears and the main fears of the unknowns. And it's like, man, it's really crazy how strong that fear is, but it's just like so easy to just make it just vanish. It's like a magic trick or whatever. It's like you're like a sorcerer or whatever. You just like banish that whole fear by just look in there, see what's in there. Obviously, like this CPA thing probably is a very highly understood area that people have an enormous amount of knowledge about, that they can tell you the exact answers to things. And like, yeah, once you understand it and once you get on that path, like it's going to be easy. It's going to be extremely easy. It sounds like it's just, what to do and you could do it and you have the time to do it. And yeah, it's an enormous ROI, it seems like. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you consider really what are we talking about exchanging. We're very likely, and Paul, it's not directed towards you, but usually we're very likely talking about exchanging Netflix time or video game time, right, for study time, right? When it comes down to it, at like the atomic level, that's usually what we're talking about exchanging. I know that's like true for me. It's like, do I think it's going to be more valuable for me to watch the next Peaky Blinders episode or study for the next designation? That's normally what it comes down to. Anyway, dudes, thank you guys. It's seriously an honor to fight by your side. You guys teach me so much as well. So thank you guys. You guys have an amazing week. See you all on Friday. Later.